Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Ellers.
I'm Jeffrey Lennon.
And this is Volume Up by the Tees. Hello, Salon Pro. As pros, beauty boxes with sample sizes just don't cut it. How can you possibly know a product is right for your clients after trying a sample? You need full-size products to try, test, feel, and play with. Enter Hello Salon Pro, a full-size pros-only beauty box by the Tees. It's a bi-monthly subscription for salon professionals with 5 full-size products, up to a $200 value for just $24.99 plus shipping. We send you everything from the most popular and trending brands to new innovations, large and small. Anything we think you might want to curate for your back bar or retail to your clients. Head to thetees.shop to subscribe for our next box, shipping every Friday starting February 15th. So here we are, another day, another pod. Hey, Jeff, so another day, another bad hair day, another good hair day? So our friends over at Vogue, speaking of hair days, covered the Miu Miu Fall 2023 show in Paris, which just wrapped. And their runway hair selection was curious. The models traded their polished ponytails and frizz-free lengths for artfully messy manes, sections styled with a little sort of sculptural fashion. And some are calling it that the disheveled look is just that, the bad hair day look on the runway. Do you have bad hair days? You have luscious curls. I don't know if
I've got some curls right now. Do I have bad hair days? Absolutely. It just depends on the day, truthfully. I identify with the way that well, first of all, let me just say the styling was pretty cool. It was
cool.
To your point, it is sort of structural. Like it is messy, quote unquote, but it's messy, air quotes. Like artfully disheveled, like very French, very European, very cool. I liked the vibe. I don't know that it would translate to the everyday.
Yeah. I have a feeling that someone would be like, so can you, your hair is sticking up right there. Fix that. If you are in couture and walk into said event, I think someone's going to fix your hair if it looks like this. But I do like the take on it. It certainly mixes up the look from the sleek back pony. And
for sure.
You know, as a daughter of a stylist, I've got to say my bad hair days are far and few between. It's just ingrained in my psyche.
That's a good, if you had a bad hair day, is it like you've determined for yourself that it's a bad hair day? Or does your mom, the stylist, say, Kel, you're having a bad hair day, and she does something about it? I'd love to know.
The latter. Yes.
That feels right.
It was always can you poof your hair up a little bit more? And Mom, I hope you're listening, because you know how many thousands of times you said that to me. And now I go nowhere unpoofed.
Poofed all the time. I mean, that feels right as rain, honestly.
It does. It led me to where I am today, and I'm thankful for it.
All right, so we're doing a little bit of a special segment. We've seen a lot of talk of a specific TikTok filter, the bold glamour filter. People have been writing about it. People have been talking about it. I have tried it. I have been horrified by the way that I look with it. So we thought about, this probably isn't good. And lo and behold, an article really came across my desk. We keep talking about this. We've got a great team that helps to supply us with some information. One such piece was a Psychology Today story called "Will New Hyper-Realistic Video Filters Harm Mental Health?" We actually got to talk with one of the co-authors of that very piece here on the podcast, and I'm going to give you guys his bio. We're talking with Dr. Keith Feigenson, who is an associate professor of psychology at Albright College, where he has been teaching since 2014. His graduate background was in developmental neuroscience, investigating the changes of neurons and glial cells in models of multiple sclerosis in the lab of Dr. Judith Grinspan at the University of Pennsylvania. Following this, he studied the perceptual and cognitive problems facing people with serious mental illnesses such as schizophrenia during his postdoc at Rutgers University, Steve Silverstein. Dr. Feigenson currently explores how we can better understand neurobiological processes by studying human behavior with an emphasis on involving undergraduates in experiential learning. This is a really interesting conversation. I'm so glad that we got to have him. And without further ado, my chat with Dr. Keith Feigenson. All right, I am joined by Dr. Feigenson. Let's chat about this thing that's taking over the internet, which is this bold glamour filter. But before we get there, let's talk about filters generally. From your perspective, your expertise, how are filters impacting us in terms of mental health, self-esteem? Would love to hear about it.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just start off the bat that this isn't my central area of focus.
Sure.
The co-writer of the post that we put up, Dr. Gwen Seidman, she's more of our kind of in-house resident expert on social media, and she does a lot with self-presentation. My area tends to be a little bit more on the intersection of how our own perceptual system can give us clues and insights into the human brain. Learning does come into play is that I consider myself an educator of psychology, and I try to teach my students critical thinking skills and how to best interpret information they come across or just new phenomenon that they see. I've been tangentially aware of the trends on social media. I'm not super online myself, but one afternoon, as us faculty colleagues tend to do, we were just hanging out in Dr. Seidman's office, and she showed us some of these effects for the bold glamour filter. She was like, "Hey, check this out. This is new." And we're just looking at it, and I've seen other filters. I've used the fun filters on Zoom before to,
Sure.
give myself little cat eyebrows and stuff. But so to that effect, this just kind of like blew me away in its power. So we did what boring, nerdy academics do and went and looked at literature on all this stuff. And I mean, as far as I can tell, filter issues, as soon as social media has been a thing, these effects started popping up. And for the most part, they are, just another kind of like fun little thing. But there is, as kind of has been indicated, a little bit of a dark side to some of the filters, right? Like the ones with the little top hats or anything like that, I don't think are doing too much. But any of the filters that distort aspects of face, size, shape, appearance have been academically tied to changes in people's own self-perceptions and self-esteem. Myself, Dr. Seidman, we are not the first persons to identify this. Going back a few years, I'm looking at it right now, there's a piece from CNN from AJ Willingham about Snapchat specifically, and how filters there were leading to changes, so much so that they coined a term, Snapchat dysphoria, much along the lines of body dysmorphic disorder. And the problem comes into play when people who are online a lot and really engage with material to the point that they're making social comparisons with themselves and then these idealized versions of other people. So I find myself, a lot of the filters like skin tone touch-ups and changing eyelash design and stuff like that, perfectly harmless. They can even be very practical for people to take pictures of themselves, bring to stylists and say, like, this is something that I'm trying to aim for. But I don't know if this is kind of like where you're coming from, but there was something reported that a few years ago, plastic surgeons started seeing an increase in people coming in and trying to say, I want to look like this tweaked version of myself that I found through filtering myself on Snapchat or other social media things. So my attitude on pretty much any of these products that companies put out is they can be cool, they can be useful, they can be fun, but any kind of information that'll help the consumer make decisions about how to apply themselves and any potential downsides should be available. And it's particularly an issue when you're dealing with maybe vulnerable populations.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that perspective. And certainly, as you said, this is not a new phenomenon, but this particular filter is worrisome because of, as you're saying, it's not just augmented reality, it's totally distorted reality. Chopping off noses, smoothing skin, doing things that are just not possible, and then the impact that it has on the psyche. Would love to understand from your perspective, and you do touch on this in the piece with your co-author, what can people do about this? How do we make sense of, this is out there, how do we mitigate the harm that it could potentially cause?
Right. And again, I'll say, like, I'm not a clinical psychologist, so I can't tell you, like, what the APA standards are. My approach, I guess there would be two sides of this. So one would be, what can the consumer do? And then what can we advocate companies to do? Have companies make their messages very clear, like a pop-up for their filters. This could be tied to the age of the user, so that, again, vulnerable people, and I'm particularly thinking in the age range here, when they click on something that they think is just kind of a fun app or a fun program to download, that they're aware that there is information out there that they should be cognizant of in terms of their own mental health. I think the social media platforms themselves could do probably more advocacy in terms of their own products and saying, this is what we know. Social media companies can do, well, we don't know what this is exactly, what the consequences are going to be, but here are some things we might anticipate or could speculate about. And then they, again, the Royal Society over there in England, they put forward that we could, this is a little bit different for the bold glamour filters, but for when teens or adolescents or even people of any age are looking at pictures, that there can be an indication that, this has been edited. This is not an idealized version. That's actually one of the things that I think is so powerful about this tool, is that we're kind of combining a couple different phenomenon in the social sciences that we talk about, upward comparison, where people compare themselves to like idealized, say, like influencers or celebrities or things like that, and then their own kind of idealized self version. So before, like, filters, you can kind of tell there's like an uncanny valley thing when you're doing the whole live action video manipulation, or you're just changing like kind of like one little thing, like a skin tone tweak or something like that. So you don't get the kind of the whole like the whole image. But this one is just so amazing in its ability to do that people are literally going to be comparing themselves to like a metaverse version of themselves, or like a Marvel Cinematic Universe alternate dimension being that they'll never be able to get. Like for again, things like minor things like eyebrow shade or even like eye color, you can change that. But for like chin thickness and the type of facial distortions they do, they're never going to be able to get there. So we're seeing dramatic rises in the number of college students who are reporting mental health issues. And it isn't to say that these filters are the only cause of that, right? You can't count how many different causes, like, teens, adolescents, young adults have to go through. But I don't see how it's not a factor for someone who's online and is using the stuff. So I feel it's incumbent upon myself and other educators, anybody who works with people who are online, might be vulnerable to peer pressure or just pressuring themselves to look a certain way, should tell people about the risks of these. Like, we know from the CDC report that teen mental health, it's at a crisis at levels higher than ever since that information started being tracked. We can give people information for them to make the best decisions. And just to kind of hammer home the point that this isn't reality. No matter like what you're looking at, they're using your face to create an entirely new image. And you should not have any expectations that you need to meet those standards. Plus, they're not even, who said that they're the standards that everybody should use for beauty, right? There's a part of these things that if you know they're like a lark, and if you know they're just kind of fun, you can goof around with it. But like, I've used filters on myself. I like to think I'm a confident middle-aged man. And there's still a part of me that's like, oh my goodness, like, I don't look like that. That's sad. Like I could look better, right? So that's why I just think that there is a big potential for harm. And we really need to consider that. And companies, like, I feel really should think about potential outcomes down the line that they can anticipate and help people out who are using their products.
Well, Dr. Feigenson, honestly, we really do appreciate your time here. This is a big, hot topic, certainly not the last of it that we're going to be hearing and talking, but we appreciate your insights here and for helping to make people aware of this, as you described. So we are going to be linking to your piece in Psychology Today within our show notes to make sure that our audience can access. And yeah, just thank you for joining us on the Volume Up podcast.
Yeah, I thank you so much for having me. I feel anybody who's interested in this area and has a platform can be communicating it. Might I add that I come from a small school in upstate Pennsylvania, and for your audience, we actually, for our size school in Albright College, Reading, Pennsylvania, we actually have a top-rated fashion program. So if you have any young users who are interested in combining a liberal arts education with kind of the fashion sphere or pathway, then give us a holler.
I love that. All right, so I hope that you guys found that was interesting. I feel like I never want to touch that filter ever again. And I'm feeling a little bit guilty about having enjoyed others. Let us know if you've engaged with the Bold Glamour filter, what you think about it, if you've liked it, if you dislike it. We want to hear more. And if you want to hear more from people like Dr. Feigenson, please let us know. We are thinking that this might wind up being a series. So would love to get your feedback.
So on our last episode, we talked with Kayla Boyer, a Minneapolis-based stylist and salon owner. She owns Rose Salon and Dead Rose Salon Loft. Kayla specializes in creative color and is on the Pravana Collective team, as well as the Drop Dead Extensions Elite Artist team. When she's not styling bold, creative looks, she loves to travel. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease, and send in questions to volumeup@thetease.com.
This week, we're talking with Angela Frenchy French, founder of French Made Hair Services. She's a 20-year licensed cosmetologist, artist, educator, bridal and texture expert, and trichologist practitioner, specializing in all hair textures, located in the heart of the DMV, which I feel like I've said this too casually. The DMV is DC, MD, Maryland, and Virginia, for all of those that are not from that area. Represent. Frenchie is known to be a jack of all textures in her field of hair mastery. Known for her texture management with natural and chemical hair care, she's also an expert in extension and wig enhancements, custom cuts, coloring, bridal, and braiding. She's learned how to master all textures and help aid in restoring the growth of hair from the proper product knowledge and hair regimens that help grow healthy, manageable, maintainable hair.
You know, another important thing that I think we should bring up today is there has been some major change to beauty regulation. And I'm thinking, yes, there needed to be, right? So interesting. In late December of last year, a bill passed in Congress implementing a massive, long overdue update to the FDA's regulatory oversight of the industry. This was 80 years in the making, which seems curious, doesn't it?
Insane to say it out loud. How did this happen? But keep going.
It makes no sense. So I guess the FDA never had authority for product recalls, which, what? Really? I am a naive consumer, admittedly, right? Over the last years, there's been notable recalls in the industry, you know, the infamous dry shampoo recall, if you will, and several others, but those were voluntary. They were not regulated by the FDA. So now they'll have an eye on manufacturers and formulas for customers, for customer safety, which again, it's about damn time, right? In fact, here's another shocking thing. Beauty companies, up until then, didn't have to report adverse events to the FDA at all. If they knew something was wrong, there was no reporting of it. And we're talking like health-related, life-threatening, hospitalization, disability, incapacity, absolutely mind-blowing. So we are progressing as a society, and I think it is 80 years overdue. What about you?
I could not have said it better. 80 years is, it's a long time. It is. And as you said, it's about damn time. Yay for regulation. You know, this podcast, there's lots of feelings about how people sort of think about regulation. But in this case, I feel like consumer safety, we can all get around this. Like we can, you know, I don't want to put something on my body that is going to cause me harm, especially when people know that it will. And
isn't it shocking? Great. Isn't it shocking to think about what have we already put on our bodies?
I know.
That now are going to be pulled to the surface and like, I've been using that for quite a while. This seems scary. So we'll continue to report back to all of you on this.
All right, now let's talk about what is trending on our site. Our editorial team has been hard at work this week uncovering industry news, looking into trends, and diving into the brands that you don't know about, but you should. And here are some of our favorite headlines from thetease.com. First up, 6 Black hairstylists making waves on Hollywood film and TV sets. If you have ever noticed a serious lack of Black hairstylists working in TV and film, you're certainly not alone. Similarly to many other departments in Hollywood, there is an absence of Black talent within the realm of hair and makeup. Due to the disproportionate number of stylists who are skilled in styling textured hair, Black stars are often forced to style their own hair on set, which we've covered on our socials. Despite this progress that we've seen in regards to the inclusivity of Black talent on screen, the harsh reality is that there's still a blatant lack of diversity behind the camera. In honor of award season, we rounded up a few extremely talented Black hairstylists working at the forefront of the TV and film industry. Head to thetease.com to learn more about 6 Black creatives who are making major waves in Hollywood and deserve the recognition for doing so. Big names on this list, Kelly.
Big names.
We're fans of many of the projects. What are your thoughts on this piece?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one that I could just see beaming with the smile was Mia Neal, right? So her in the Creative Arts Emmys with her Emmy. I mean, what a moment for a stylist to be standing there. And, one of the first Black hairstylists to take home an Oscar for makeup and hairstyling back in 2021. She's still killing it today. So an awesome list. I love pulling out those creators that are behind the scenes. And we need more of this in our industry.
We do. And with any luck, this will serve as an example for people that are thinking, maybe I want to go into, and this could be, a good example, some mentorship, perhaps. We'd love to see more talent being able to work with all hair textures. But check out that piece on thetease.com. All right, next up, we're very excited about this. This is a new thing for 2023, our tech touch-ups, but for March. Inspired by the internet world and adapted for the beauty space, our monthly tech touch-ups for March are available now. Designed for stylists, makeup artists, estheticians, massage therapists, nail techs, and anyone in the beauty industry, we created mobile phone backgrounds to infuse a bit of fun, beauty, and newness into your routine. Pick up the March designs for your phone's tech touch-up on thetease.com. Kelly, which of these new designs is your current lock screen?
Yeah, well, I'm repping the brand, and it's the Tease logo and name over and over and then reversed out. Very, very cool. And you know what? I don't change my lock screen often, but this one got me. And I'd like you to say tech touch-ups on the Tease.
I won't. I will
please.
not do that again to myself. I don't encourage any of you listening to do that for us either. But yeah, go to thetease.com and download them because they're free and they're fun. And if you're using them, let us know. Tag us. We'd love to see them in use. All right, next up, meet the finalists for the 2023 ABS Global Image Awards. We just got a massive step closer to learning which talented artists will be named winners of the 2023 ABS Global Image Awards. The international industry competition, which is hosted by America's Beauty Show by Cosmetologist Chicago, has officially named this year's finalists. The winners of the ABS Global Image Awards will be announced during a huge 100th America's Beauty Show celebration and presentation taking place during America's Beauty Show on the evening of Saturday, April 15th. Each of the 9 professional categories will offer a single winner, and additionally, one extraordinary submission will be awarded the Leo Passage Gold Trophy Award in honor of the late Pivot Point International founder and Cosmetologist Chicago member, Leo Passage. Head to thetease.com to take a look at the 2023 ABS Global Image Award finalists. Kelly, the finalists are so impressive, all of them. But which category are you most into? What's calling to you?
I always love a good take on the barbering category. Sometimes I think it's overlooked. So I love that. And, I got a shout out to the students because think about putting yourself out there in a global competition at one of the largest trade shows in the country. So shout out to them. I love to see people entering and mentoring.
Love it. As always, so much going on thetease.com. Thank you to our hardworking editors. We're proud to publish stories that salon pros and consumers care about.
This week, Jeff is talking with Angela Frenchy French, founder of French Made Hair Services. Gotta love the ring to that. Her podcast interview is up next. All right, Jeff. So I like the jack of all textures. I don't think I've heard it responded or said that way before, but I like it.
I think that it's so important. I mean, we talked about this at the top of the podcast that hairstylists are able to work with all textures. It's a big thing for Frenchie. It's a big thing for a number of our guests on this podcast, and love talking with her about what she's been up to, her approach to staying busy. I don't know how to keep up. But what a fun combo.
That was a good one. Be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease, and sending questions to Volume Up at thetease.com.
Volume Up is a Tease Media production. This episode was produced by Monica Hickey and Madeline Hickey. Brian Daly is our editor and audio engineer. Thank you to Josh Landowski and Nathan Folks for the custom Volume Up theme song, and thank you to our creative team for putting together the graphics for this episode.